Hello, welcome to Off the Beaten Tracks. Today I'm going to be doing some recent acquisitions, and thanks to Mr. Carlson and his sage advice, I'm going to be putting in some samples of these songs in the video so you can listen to them. He gave a great video, which I shall be putting below, to tell you how to put up something with some original music in it and not fall afoul of the YouTube gods and get a huge strike against you. So this is my first experiment in doing this, so cross your fingers, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to start. I picked this up. This is If. It's one of my favorite jazz fusion bands. I also picked up If 2. These are upgrade copies. I've had copies since the 60s, 60s, 70s, when I bought them as cheapies and played them on probably relatively, shall we say, rudimentary equipment. So these copies hopefully will, be an upgrade of what I already have. They're a terrific band. They were formed in '69. As I said, they were jazz fusion. They put out 8 albums, but there are 2 distinct eras in the band. And the first 3 albums are absolutely excellent. I believe the 4th one is. I'm trying to remember it now. I didn't quite listen to that one as much as the other 3. But these guys, the lead vocalist was J.W. Hodgkinson. And when he left the band, they took a different turn, and it wasn't quite as good, in my opinion. Several of the members left to join a band called Zebra or Zebra, depending on where you're from, with 2 Z's or Z's, depending on where you're from, which was also an excellent band. I think I've actually, probably a year or 2 ago, did a video highlighting that band, and didn't know actually at that time that there were members from this excellent band in that one. The keyboard player, John Mealing, went on to join the Straubs. In later years, which is, boy, you don't get much better than that. These guys went on to any number of bands because they were all excellent musicians. The song I've chosen from this particular album, the first album, is called I'm Reaching Out on All Sides. And I think it will certainly give you an idea of their sound from those first 3 albums. So enjoy. The guitars need tuning up to stay in tune, and I must fly where there's a chance. The music is in time with my new dance. I'm reaching out on all sides. I'm grabbing at the truth instead of lies. I want it said when I am gone. I move the world just one step on. The second album I'm going to do is the Fabulous Poodles. And this album, this is Mirror Stars. This is actually a North American release and an amalgam of their first 2 albums in England. The first one was produced by John Entwistle, and the second one by Muff Winwood. They're classified in, I think, on Discogs as new wave, but they're almost a parody new wave band in the vein of the Monks and their classic album Bad Habits. They leaned a tad on novelty, but I don't think oppressively so. This is a very enjoyable album, and it can be gotten cheap. So I would certainly search this out. Songs like Mirror Star, Toy Town People, Mr. Mike, Roll Your Own, Tip Photographer Blues, Sure Shayla Femme, they're all really good poppy songs with just that hint of sense of humor in them. And I think, if you like the Monks especially, you're going to like these guys. If you like new wave, a little on the lighter side perhaps, they're certainly not like the early Stranglers or bands like that, but I would certainly check these guys out. I'm going to be playing today Toy Town People. I don't know why that wasn't a hit. It's just a terrific pop song, period, and here it is.
Toy Town people, don't go against the grain. Toy Town people, uncertified insane. Toy Town people aren't young before they're old. upon their hair. They trolley round the markets and get tempted by the hype. Instead go home on overload with wagons full of pride.
The next record was Complete Blind Buy, and it's these guys. It's Siener, Shawner, and Koss. Like a ton of those bands from the 60s and 70s that used just the two names in the duo, Brewer and Shipley, Simon and Garfunkel, Sam and Dave, Ashford and Simpson, Sonny and Cher. These guys were Shawner and Koss. They were the nucleus of a band out of Detroit named Savage Grace that also put out a couple of albums, I think in the early 70s. This was like $5, not a lot of money. Complete Blind Buy, as I said, and got lucky with this one. It's a very enjoyable album. It was produced by Shel Talmy, who, if you know a lot about early British rock, you'll know that he was instrumental in producing the early Kinks and the early Who. Interesting for people who are into the Loving Spoonful. John Sebastian plays a really mean harmonica on this album. Quite a few of the tracks have him just tooting away. It's pretty good stuff. It's kind of bluesy rock. A lot of people have compared the vocals to Mick Jagger, which, I can absolutely see. It's a very fair comparison. And some of the music and the vocals do hint of a Stonian influence. I'm going to play the lead-off track from this section of this, written by Koss. Seamus apparently didn't get into this one. It's Mystery Train, and you'll get a flavor for the album from that. And I think if you've got any taste like mine, you're gonna like this.
I was born in Detroit City. Many years I laid my head deep within a soft white pillow on my Detroit City bed.
My next album is by Jim Burns, and it's called Burning. This is from 1981. Just did pick this up at the record store. Jim has quite an interesting history. Just to show you how karma goes, he was helping somebody, a motorist who was stranded on the highway. I think he had a flat tire or something, and he was helping him out, and some other asshole hit him with his car, and Jim lost both his legs. But obviously that didn't stop him. He put out, this is the first of 11 albums. And if that weren't impressive enough, he was a regular on, you'll remember the show Wise Guy, I think from the 80s. He was also in 21 movies. He's been in 70 television shows and 45 animated shows, one of which, turns out, I wrote on. So this is kind of R&B, and it's not quite the kind of music I usually like. But I found this album quite enjoyable, well worth the money I paid for it. I think it was probably $2 or $3, and it has a Canadian Missouri thing. I think he was born in Missouri, but spent a lot of time here. So this kind of counts as Canadiana, and that's good enough for me. So I'm going to play the lead-off track off this. It's called You Don't Know. And I think you will know by the time it's finished, because it's a pretty good song, and I hope you enjoy the sample.
You don't know like I know what that woman has done for me. In the morning, she's my water. In the evening, she's my cup of tea. And as long as I live, whenever troubles arise, I go to her like a miracle.
I probably saved the best for last because my last album is this. This is Martin Newell, The Greatest Living Englishman. I bought this originally in, I think, 1993, 94 on CD, and because you couldn't buy vinyl in those days. It is one I sold most of my CD collection when I moved from LA to Canada, but I certainly kept Martin Newell. And when I found out it was available on vinyl, I jumped at the chance. I had to bring this in from, import it from England, but it was well worth it. It's a different cover. I'll try and put the cover up here of the CD version. But pick either up. You're going to love this. For a lot of people, all they're going to need to know is that Andy Partridge produced this album in his garden shed studio. He commanded quite a hefty fee for producing albums, but when Martin only had a very small amount of money, but I'm sure when Andy heard these songs, he said, "I'm doing it anyway." This is the 14th album by Martin Newell. He's put out 29 studio albums so far, so I only have 28 more to buy. It's a jangly pop masterpiece. I can't tell you how many great songs there are on this. I'm going to play The Greatest Living Englishman, which was on I used to put out at some time Christmas CDs of the greatest songs I'd heard that particular year. And everybody in my family agreed, and this was rare, The Greatest Living Englishman, even my young daughter at the time, said it catches your ear and you're an instant fan. So I hope I haven't hyped it too much. I don't know if you can hype this song too much. Greatest Living Englishman, and that is it for me today. Enjoy.